Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Another street lighting video for you. From reading the comments and from looking back at the analytics, the views and stuff like that, I know this seems to be the most preferable type of content for you, so I'm going to obviously keep bringing the street lighting stuff. It's going to be a wee bit more than the domestic for you. The plan of today's video is going to be something which I'm going to try and bring to the channel as a more regular theme, or like a weekly sort of thing, or whatever it is, and it's just going to be like a day in the life of a street lighting electrician. Whether I change that to a week in the life, just depending on what jobs I go to, what jobs I can film, what jobs are interesting. So it's either going to be a day in the life or a week in the life of a street lighting electrician. So because of that, or because of the nature of this type of video, the content might be all over the place with jump cuts and this and that, because I'm going to be going to 10 plus jobs today, and again, just depending on what I can film and all that sort of stuff, so just bear with us on that. So I've got a wee folder here of stuff that I've been asked to go and take a look at today. There's a mixture of stuff they want me to look at, and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to explain to you guys the varying types of job that I generally get asked to do. So I can go into that in a wee bit more detail for you. So obviously there's numerous different types of jobs that they can ask us to do, whether it's test and inspection. Again, they usually sort of leave that to the summer when less single darks and less faults get phoned in because of the lighter nights and stuff like that. So that's something more to look out for maybe in the summer months. New installations, like new columns and new section boxes and stuff like that. Again, that's no really something I've been doing for the last wee while, which is fine. I'm happy with that. There's another sort of thing that they sometimes get us to do, which is just like find and fix. So it's fault finding, but it's going out with a digging squad and like testing out cables, like IR testing cables, finding where faults are, digging up the roads and putting in joint packs and stuff like that. And then there's a lot more, and then we're going to jump onto the stuff that I've generally been asked to do the last while, which is section faults, which is sort of very well aware of. There are just like single darks that the public have maybe phoned in, or like I think they can do it online now. There's another thing that's really popular just now, and it's we know it as councillor complaints or political mail. Basically, it's wee Betty Crocker, as Nagy would say, phoning up, complaining that our streetlight's not been fixed quick enough. She's then got in touch with our local councillor, and our local councillor's then got in touch with the relevant local authority, and he's then chased it up and basically says, get this done. So I've got a whole host of them to go and try and look at today. There's another wee part to the job, which I think I've shown in a few shorts, but I've never really been able to show too much in this, and I think I actually showed in the video where I've got the snow and I've had to cut down the overhead cables, is emergency responses. Generally you maybe get 1 or 2 of them a day, depending on what it is, whether it's a visor or a light fitting hanging down, or pull doors off is the most common one, but it can be obviously road traffic collisions, all that sort of stuff. So we might get one of them as well today. You'll see now the first job I've got is a section fault. So there's a few section faults we've got to go and look at today, and then there's a bunch of councillor complaints that I'm going to go and look at. So I'll probably jump now to the first section fault. You can have a look at that and see what it is. Again, content permitting, depending on what jobs I go to and what I find there, I'll try and make this video a bit longer. Again, I know from reading the comments and stuff like that you prefer some of the videos that's maybe 20 odd minutes long, so if I've got the content to do that, I will, but I don't want to obviously just make a long video for the sake of it and tons of chatting and not really showing you much, but I will get into it. Right, so as mentioned down there, this is the first job that I've been sent to. I've been phoned in as a section dart, but straight away I can see that it's not. This is a 24-hour supplied area, just you can see that light's on there, and obviously that one's just not either been fitted with a 40 cell or the 40 cell's failed in that one, so I know that it's not an actual fault here. My box is in just there, I've checked that, there's no breakers tripped or anything like that. So there's a few ways you can obviously test this, just by either covering it up. I've not brought any hand tools or anything, so if I'm wanting to even just check my supply, I could either just cover this cell and see if it works. Oh, there you go, it's working perfectly. So this is just likely being misreported. It's maybe, tell you what usually happens with these ones is that because it's a 24-hour supplied area, some of the faulty cells are more sensitive than others, and this is probably one of the last ones on the street, or the last one on the street that comes on, and somebody's reported it for that reason. But there's obviously no fault here. It's a brand new Thorn. Somebody's rolling it, it's a 135 watt equivalent, so that's job number one done nice and easy. But you can see the weather here starting to snow and stuff like that, so it's going to be a horrible day by the looks of it. So you've obviously seen there, but one of the ways I'm making sure this goes on is just by covering the cell. There's another way you can do it, just obviously take that out, give it a wee second, and then once you put it back in, it generally should just come on. Now there you go. And the third way of doing it is bring up a short plug. So if I take that out for the time being, this is just a way to check that the fitting's working and that you're obviously getting a supply to it. There you go, you can see that that's working. That's just a few ways that you can check it. I know 99% of folk will know that, but I thought I would just show that. Just a few ways you can check that the supply's okay up to here, line in and here and these are okay. There's one other thing I want to show you while I was up here, and I'll just get my bucket over to it and I'll show you. So the last thing I was going to show you was this overhead cable. Don't think I've shown any of this in the channel before, so you can see that that's all twisted together like that. So I know this cable as ABC cable, and it's basically just like a tinned aluminium inside as opposed to copper. It's really light and stuff like that compared to copper. We don't really install this stuff or maintain it, to be fair. We just, I've certainly never installed any of it or really maintained it. I've only ever taken something down and sort of redressed it and stuff like that. And probably not be able to see too well, but so this one here is the neutral, and that's got a few lines on it, and that's the identifier that one's always the neutral. The live, or the line, has just got one line on it that you can sort of feel your finger, and the CPC has two lines, and it's always the same sort of throughout the site, so at least you know that that's always the case when you go to terminate and stuff like that. But I thought that would be quite interesting to show you that. I've never really had the chance to bring that to the channel. There's only a handful of areas throughout the site that seems to have it, and I don't know why that is, but quite interesting. So we're at job number 2. It's another section fault, and it's saying there's just let me see the line, basically a handful of F1 to F18. Usually an F means it's F, then a number means it's in a path. So I'm going to go a wee drive or a wee walk around and see if I can find the section box for it. But by looking at the area now, it's mostly all either PLL style lamps and fittings or PLTs. So we'll go a wee walk or a drive and try and find the box, because I'm not quite sure where it is. Just on some of these jobs, I wish I could show you the job lines that I've got for them, but just because there's people's personal details and stuff like that on it, I can't really show you that for obvious reasons, but I'll explain them as best I can to each job. Right, so I'm at job number 2, it's a section fault again, so the job line, I'll talk about it a bit more in the video, but it's saying that this whole square is all in darkness, so I'm just going to go a wee drive and try and find the box for it, but I can't see anything obvious. I don't know if it comes in off the main street here and then into here, but I'll maybe even check that column there. Let's see if there's more cable. go a wee walk and see if I can find the box. Right, so after doing a wee bit of digging, I went to that column, had a look, that was end of line, so it indicated that the box was going to be in here somewhere, and it's pretty much in the centre of the wee square, which makes sense, so we'll go and give it a wee look. If this footage turns out a bit rubbish then I apologise, but it's obviously quite difficult to film with this weather, but so that's just a wee quick check to make sure that there's power going through each one of the fuses, because this is going to be the wee barrel fuses in here. Get the feeling that this is just going to be single darks, so I can see one there, I can see one there. But there's a couple by the looks of it, but I'm going to, let me see actually, do a proper test on this. I'll maybe need to go and grab a screwdriver just to be able to spin that. Grab some hand tools to make sure I'm getting, grab a test labs to make sure I'm getting a supply through each one of these cables and stuff like that, and I'll make sure that the photo cell works. But I'll go and grab some hand tools and I'll come back in. Right, so I've grabbed some hand tools back here. Hopefully this screwdriver's going to be... fuck's sake. Obviously don't want to break this. There you go, that's switched on and the photo cell's kicking in, but I'll give it, you can see there that might be our issue. So give it a wee second. Right, so photo cell's kicking in there, and it's not doing that thing with the contact again. Sometimes it just does that if it's so light outside. Photo cell doesn't know whether it wants to kick in or not, but that seems to be working fine now, so I'll just go through it and check. Let's see if I can jam that in there. Aye, actually there you go, that's live on camera, so that's either a dodgy contactor or a dodgy photo cell. I'll do a few more checks and see what I can do, but I'm going to be finding it quite difficult to do a proper repair on this because I can't actually get my van in here. So if it's going to be a photo cell, this is on a cantilever column, but that's a two-man job, and obviously I can't be doing that myself. But I'll see if I've got, but I'll see what I can do with this, and I'll come back in. Right, sorry about that. I tried to do that on camera there, but I don't know how well you can see this weather, but it's just miserable here today. I set up the tripod and it just kept blowing over and the wind noise was unbearable. So that's me got this sorted now. It was just a dodgy photo cell, just a wee bit temperamental, and it just sort of kept pulling the contactor in and out, but you can see there that it's fine now. I've just got it on hand now just to see, but I think part of the issue here is as well, I think there's six darks, let's say PLT lamps, but again I can't really do them because it's a two-man job to either get in the ladders or to lower the cantilever columns, so I'm just going to take a note of them and I'm going to highlight it for two-man ladder work or a two-man teammate go and do the cantilever columns, but there's 6 I've counted, so I've got a note of the numbers and I'll stick that back into them to get it sorted. Right, so I'm sitting up at my third and final section fault of the day, then I'm going to be falling back onto councillor complaint jobs that I mentioned earlier in the video, and it's up in Drumchapel. Just be looking at the line here, it's basically saying streetlights are out, making the junction very dangerous, so it's saying it's at a junction with another road up in Drumchapel. Straight away if, like most of these section faults, it's not going to be a section fault, it's probably going to be one or two single darks. But I'll do my usual again. I'll go and, not 100% sure where the box is for this one. I know there's one out on one of the roads back there, but I don't know if it quite covers up this far. So I'll go and take a look. I'll go and drive to that box, drive around this estate. So I'll go and take a wee drive around this area, see if I can find any section boxes that look as though they might control this. I'll go and switch it on, do a wee burley back, make sure that it does light this area, and then I can establish whether there is actually any faults or any single darks or anything like that. So as mentioned, that's the box that I know about on this road, and where that guy's walking, that first street on the left there, is the street that I'm going to be working on, so it's likely that it will be this box. So I'll go and give it a wee look and see if there's any obvious issues or anything like that. Right, I'm going to try and include as much of this stuff as possible and give you guys as much detail as possible. So this is me opening the box, obviously. Jesus. So there you go, there's the state of this box, but that's not why we're here. So, thing that I always do to start with, there's a wee chart there, so set that back down there a bit. So you heard that contactor kick in. Lights are all coming on here. There's my box number. So I'll wait for that to click off just to make sure that it's functioning as it should by bringing it on and off. Once it's done that, I'll put it onto hand or manual or override it or whatever you want to say, and I'll just see if it definitely does. Aye, so there you go, there's it clicked off. So let's put it onto the hand. Close it over. So I'll go and take a drive round there, make sure it is controlling in that street, and inevitably fix the one or two single darks that are there. Right, so as suspected, that one in the junction starts to that bad. That one there at that tree's dark, because it's lit further down the left, and obviously up to the right to where the box is. That one's lit, but the one just beyond it on the other side is dark. And then that one there's dark, it's missing the visor, so it's likely just water, and then that one in the end is missing the visor, so that will be on the way out soon. That could even just be one of the ones that light up for a minute or two and then go. I'll give it another couple of minutes and see if it is off. So in the past, with situations like this, the remit or the instruction that I received was you generally just fixed one of them. You picked one of them if there was like more than one out. Say there was like this situation, say there was about 3 or 4 out, 3, 4, 5, whatever. You picked one, maybe 2 max, depending on sort of where they're dark. So obviously I would maybe just pick the one at the junction, fix that, and then that would effectively close the line. But because of the volume of section faults that we're getting in that aren't section faults, and it's all just single darks, they're quite happy for me to spend a bit of time here and fix them. So what did I count there? I think there was 4. There was 4 out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try and fix them. Obviously access permitting, I'm going to just fix it for today. It's still well early enough in the day that I can should be able to get the 4 done, no issues at all. And then the one down the bottom that was missing a visor but was lit, I think I generally carry spare visors for that style of 55 watt socks because they're so prone to falling off, so I'll stick a visor on that and I'll just protect it that wee bit more for the elements. And what my intention will be then, so I'm not going to bore you by taking you with me to fit 4 of the exact same style of fitting, because it's going to be the ASD Highway Micro nonsense fittings that we're fitting again, because that's what we're being told to fit instead of 55 watt fittings. So I'll take you up with me, I'll do one, and then I'm just going to go and do the other 3 off camera, just so that the video's no far too long, and so that it's not just boring doing the exact same fitting like over and over again. Then that way there should be more time in the day later on when I go and look at some of the councillors' jobs to go and show you them and show you how I go about dealing with them. So I'm just jumping back in before I go and start fitting the fittings. I'm having a wee bit of a mare today. I thought I'd brought my GoPro with the head mount and all that sort of stuff. I haven't, it's in my other bag that I usually bring. Forgot to lift it this morning. It's early, tired, all that sort of stuff. Hasn't kicked in yet either. So I'll do it on my phone, and I'll go through all the stages with you, and then from future I'm going to just be bringing my I'll be bringing my GoPro every day to any type of jobs that I'm doing, just to preempt that I'm going to be getting some content for you guys. So apologies for that, but I'll go and show you as much detail as I can by doing it on my phone. But again, you have seen these ASD fittings to death, so I'll go and do it and get it over with. So as always, door off. This is one of the rare cutouts. It's actually had the fuse screwed on it. So take that with me. I'll put the door back on. Because it was only on my tie wrap. I'll get that door back on, and I'll get the fitting all prepped and stuff like that, and I'll show you that in the bucket. Right, so these fittings are in every way, shape and form an absolute ball ache to work with. So what I tend to do, if I'm going to be fitting quite a few of them, if I know in advance I'll obviously make up a few like this, or even on the day I know I'm going to be doing at least 4 here. So I've prepped them, so obviously opened them, screwdriver to go through my wee gland there, put a wee bit of flex through my draw wire, put my short plug in already, remove my wee film. We need these brackets to fit on the necks, so we need to hammer out. This is just like a wee thin channel, you can sort of put it on at the time, but it's easier just to hammer it out, so I've done that with the 4 of them. And then the last thing that they need is, they come existing with that length of grub screw in it, but they're not long enough, so you need to unwind them and put in the longer grub screws for it to reach. So every part of putting this fitting up is a nightmare, and then even just terminating it's an absolute nightmare. But that's the 4 of them prepped. I'll put the other 3 back in the back of the van, we'll go up and we'll do this one. This one should hopefully come down quite easy, because it's just the 2 nuts and bolts up the top there that loosen it off, so that should be quite easy. And then we'll look at the other 3. Right, you have seen me do this type of Phillips fitting a million times. Just 2 clips there, take the lamp out, undo the 2 of these. There should be enough length on this flex, so it should just slide off and chop it, and then we'll get to that stage, and then I'll come back to you. You can hopefully see this weather now, it's snowing, so I'm not going to be farting about too much for this video, because I'm way too cold for that. So I've got the fitting off, as I always do. Just stick that there till I'm sort of prepped with my, I just stick that in there just to hold it, so that gravity's not going to take that back down, because today is definitely the kind of day that's going to happen to us, so I'm not taking any chances. It's freezing cold, soaking wet, and I'm determined to get this video done for you, because I've already started it. So as always, I'm going to just tape that on, pull it through with my draw wire. I'll get the fitting fixed on with the bracket, and then I'll show you for there. Right, I've just because of the weather, it's getting worse here. That fitting's on, all secured up, all terminated and all that sort of stuff, so I'll go back down, I'll double check the fuse and the cutout, put it back in, get it energised, and get this one lit and move on to the next one. Sorry I've obviously not really shown you too much of that there, but one, the weather's terrible, and two, you've seen this type of fitting so many times, so I'll go back down and crack on with the rest. Right, so thank God that's the first of 4 done. So I'm just going to probably move over to that one next. Really doesn't matter though, I'll just hopefully get access to the floor that I need to. If not, I'll just chap a couple of doors, but that's first of 4 done. As you can see, that's the second one done, and I'm going to be able to salvage this visor for the one down the very bottom of the street that's working. But I'll just stick a visor on it just to give it that wee bit extra protection. Makes sense really, instead of it just going in the bin. So I'll just stick it in the bucket now. And I'll make my way up that side of the street and get that done. Right, so eventually that's me done all 4 here, so you can see that one there's done. And then that last 55 sawn was the one that had the visor missing. I've went ahead and stuck a visor on that. Hopefully you can make that out for there, but I've stuck a visor on that like I said I would. But I'm just going to show you the fitting that I took down for here. There was tons of water in it, just like that. Top entry one that I cut off the other day, we're all quite interested in that. So when these fittings fail, this is what tends to happen to them. Look at the amount of moss and stuff like that that's in that. And there's that fit with all this sort of brown water and all that rubbish in it. But I just thought I'd show you that. So obviously that's the seals round the edge have obviously gave, you can see how moist they are. They've obviously gave way at some point, and there's a break in it there. Actually you can see water's just getting into that and filled up, and that's obviously what's killed this fitting off. Right, so as mentioned, that's the 4 LEDs done. Don't know if you can make that out in the camera there. My hands are red raw with the cold. My box is just there, so I'm going to switch that off now, because obviously I left it on hand so that I could work on it. So I'm going to switch that off, put it back to auto, or to work on the photo cell. I don't know if this is going to be the end of the video, or I don't know if I'm going to take you with me to do some of the councillor complaints that I've got in. Just given the fact that I've obviously recorded all that stuff there, I'm a wee bit behind in my work now, so I'll need to go and make up for that. And then obviously the weather earlier on didn't help, but if I can take you with me to any of the council complaint jobs that I've got, I will, if there's anything interesting for you. But if not, I'll catch you on the next one, and thanks so much for watching. So I'm out over Tory Glen, sort of neck of the woods. I've changed over one of the fittings on that street to a Thorn 90 watt equivalent basically. Came to switch on the panel and look at the state of this. Just floating RCBO upside down. Look at that. And obviously just the years and years of abuse. So that's been thingied away now, but it's just poor. So there you go, you can see that my thorn fitting's working. I've had to link that photo cell cable back at the box, so I'll just go and do a burly drive back down there, disconnect it, and that'll be me done here. So that wee job there that you've just seen, obviously just a wee snippet of, was one of the councillor jobs, and it was basically just a single dark lamp. Obviously whatever resident it's been has escalated it, because it's probably been a certain amount of time that it's not been fixed in, and they've escalated it to a councillor, and then they basically push it to the front of the queue. But in turn, that just puts all the other ones that have been reported to the back of the queue, and then they don't get touched for probably a couple of weeks on end, because there's mountains of councillor stuff in, I'm led to believe. So it's just going to be a vicious cycle where we don't touch the normal stuff that's reported in the normal way. People obviously then escalate it, and it's just just so on and so forth. So it's a bit of a nightmare, these councillor things, and I'm covering the west and the south today in this video, so all over the place, so you're only getting half the work done because you're doing double the amount of driving. You're covering 2 areas instead of 1.